Hey everyone, it's Zach Wright with Untangled Vines, redefining the rules of work, a podcast and community for Grapevine Software. Today, it's going to be a little bit different of a video than what we've normally been doing, but I wanted to talk about the differentiation of Grapevine, the virtual office platform, and dive into a little bit of those things that we're talking about as we prepare for the launch of our MVP number one. So whenever we think about this, and you can see it here on the screen, let me just present it. And so what you can see here is that there's 5 elements of our virtual office platform. And so that's going to include the company's social intranet, the community, or what we also call internal social network, just for clarity and to really identify what it is for people hearing that for the first time. We have Figgy Chat, which is our chat function, which we'll show you a little bit later in this video. Then we have My Office, or your digital workspace, and then your department portals. So as you can see, there's definitions here. So whenever we talk about the company's social intranet, what you're really gaining benefit on here is streamlining your communication, seamless collaboration, instant access to shared resources. So included in the shared or the social intranet is your document repository, or what we're going to be calling information hub. And the reason we're calling it information hub is because it's not just documents. You're going to be able to organize your documents. So that's anything from a docs, a sheets, a PDF, a video, a post, all the things that are included in your Grapevine instance. Now, whenever it comes to community, this is how we really connect people from disparate places or in different locations. So this is the easy connection, enhanced collaboration, direct link to shared experiences part of the platform, where you're going to be able to understand who people are, not only inside the organization, but also outside. This is where people can share just anything that's obviously appropriate. But let's say that Christmas is coming up. Let's say that you celebrate Christmas or just the holidays in general. You might take a picture of your family and say, "Happy holidays, everyone, from my family to yours." And then that sparks a conversation whenever you get back from the break, right? Or you go somewhere on New Year's and then you post it on the first week that you return. And now that's sparking that engagement, that conversation, the parts of what I call going beyond the squares whenever we're talking about remote organizations. And going beyond the squares is outside of your Zoom, your Google Meet, your MS Team meetings, and really learning who that person is like you would in the physical office. Figgy Chat. Now, I was reading a book called Startup CEO, and he talked about how fig trees they have like 900 something different species of fig wasp that help them survive. And they basically take that pollen and deliver it to the fig tree. And so as I was thinking about what does our chat functionality really do, it is sparking those conversations over and over and over again, and really building that forest of fig trees. And so, and also, it's not necessarily 100% accurate, but whenever you think about grapes or grapevines, you kind of throw in figs there. So it's just a fun way to have a name for our chat. And this is where we're going to easily communicate, direct collaboration, instant connection to the platform information. And I'll go into a little bit of detail on that in the next few, not slides, but tabs that we're going to show. And what's really important and differentiated here is that if you think about Slack, and now we're not trying to compete with Slack necessarily, but if you think about Slack, whenever you upload a document, the only way, in my experience, for smaller companies who use Slack, usually the free version, the only way that you get that document is to download it. And then you have to upload it to your Google Drive or your OneDrive if you're using Microsoft. And so what we're really solving here is once the chat is a part of your knowledge management system or that information hub. It's part of the entire platform. So you can search and find anything easily within Grapevine whenever you upload it into Figgy Chat. And then also, whenever you upload it, you can save it to your documents. So now you don't have to download to upload. You just save it to your documents. Now it's going to live on Grapevine, right? And if it's a cloud document, it's going to live in Grapevine, but it's also going to live in whatever environment that you're using, which would be Google Drive or OneDrive or SharePoint, whatever the case is. And then the fourth part of this is My Office, or what we're calling it My Office, and some people call it digital workspace. The reason that we're calling it My Office is because this is where the employee or the manager or both are going to be able to organize and really keep track of everything that they're doing. So if you think about a physical office, a lot of people have cubicles, some people have offices, and within that office, there's different documents, or there's different materials that you use day in and day out. This is where you're going to do that in a digital format. So you think about everything that's included, which is going to be your the way that you have your schedule. So you'll be able to see all your meetings that are coming up. You'll be able to create a meeting. You'll be able to see your entire calendar right beside that. Then if we go down the page, you'll have your achievements and rewards that you've been given or that you've received, like a certificate. You can share that directly to the community, and you can add it to your employee profile. The other part is that you're going to be able to track and manage your one-on-ones with your manager. And you're going to have a document repository or a one-on-one notes repository, so you can go back and see what you guys discussed. And then what are your action items? You'll be able to add your action items. Your KPIs will be in there as well. You'll see your emails. You'll see your key documents. You'll see required trainings and additional trainings. And then you'll see any groups that you might be a part of. So that is really the way that you organize yourself and your entire team through My Offices. You'll also be able to provide feedback attached to core values, so on and so forth. The list kind of goes on here. But the goal is to enhance your employees' organization so it's easier to find and share and collaborate. But on the other side is it's also to improve employee and management relationships by having that consistent one-on-one connection, those growth plans, so on and so forth. Now, whenever we get to department portals, this is that specialized hub for training essential documents, real-time team updates for streamlined departmental operations, and really so much more. Anything that you have specific for your department, you can put it in here. You can set the permission levels so only your team sees it or everybody in Grapevine sees it. That's also going to depend, or that's going to help showcase what pops up whenever people are searching. If it's not public, it won't be available to the public. If it's public, anybody could see it. Now, they still might need to request access depending on the permissions of the document itself, but this is an easy way to format that. Now, I shared this post recently on LinkedIn, but just to run through a couple scenarios here, or of why it's important for remote and hybrid, is whenever we look at this for the company's social intranet, this is going to facilitate cohesion of teamwork and engagement, and it's going to bridge geographical gaps. So whenever we're talking about our intranet, we have an executive news feed that any executive or head of department can go in and post on that. Everybody will get a notification in the tool itself, and then also in Figgy Chat. So that is double timing to make sure that these important updates or these important posts are not overlooked, right? And you'll be able to also update video, or you'll be able to upload videos, photos, documents, so on and so forth. And then people can start to save that to their My Documents and eventually My Office. So the other part of this is you have upcoming company events. So you'll never have to miss or really what we're doing here with certain things on the internet is trying to reduce that duplicative work from people. In the last company that I worked with, I've mentioned this before, but we would have an event, and so we would put it in a Slack channel, and then that would kind of go overlooked, and then the time would come, we'd have to post it again. And then during the actual event, we maybe had to post it again or ping people separately to get them into the event itself. So what this is doing is setting reminders, is showing the team and the company what upcoming events that you have. Whenever the time frame actually comes, there's going to be a slide out notification. People can click on that, or they can go to the intranet or the community on both sides and click that specific upcoming event. It'll take you directly there. So we're streamlining internal communications here as well. Now, community, aka internal social network, this is going to foster a sense of belonging, as we spoke about a little bit before, and camaraderie among distributed teams, promoting a connected workplace culture. Now, this is going to be a way that people kind of decompress. They build connections that they might not be able to build without a tool like Grapevine, right? So this is really the community. You can ask people around you, hey, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'll be out at Optimus Hall this week, just seeing if anybody wants to meet up. Now, that's going to work if somebody's close there around you, but you could also you could create an online event, right? And or start it there and then just get everybody on a Zoom and have a happy hour or whatever the case is. But it's really about fostering belonging and creating a space for camaraderie. Figgy Chat, we kind of dove into this, but specifically for remote and hybrid organizations, this is going to provide an immediate and direct channel for real-time communications, enhancing that connectivity and teamwork in virtual environments. So this is going to be like your Slack, like your WhatsApp, like your Google Chats. Again, the difference is that you will be able to keep track of every single thing in Grapevine. So it's not like you're uploading this, downloading that, uploading it back, and then sharing it, and then you're collaborating. You can do all this with Figgy Chat and Grapevine. And you also have to be able to create groups and different things for different and specific projects. My Office, digital workspaces here for remote and hybrid organizations. This is going to provide that centralized platform for structured work, enabling efficient performance monitoring and seamless communications in virtual settings. We dove in detail on that, so I won't continue to go in there too much, but it's important about organization. And the more organized that you are using like a Lean Six Sigma framework is like the 5 S's, and being able to just structure and have a place for everything buys back time for your employees, for your leaders, for your managers, for the company in general, and it keeps everybody aligned. Now, the department portals on that same vein, that's what we're talking about here. You're ensuring that your department-specific resources are easily accessible, supporting smooth operations and communication in dispersed work environments. It's all about bringing things that would be in the office in a virtual platform that the team has everything at their hands that they can grab, share, real-time discuss, and then also decompress and learn about each other a little bit more. Okay, so I went through that kind of quick. Now what I want to do is go through this quick comparison chart. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but I wanted to call out the importance of a virtual office platform, right? And with this comparison chart, instead of calling out specific competitors, eventually we'll get to that point, I wanted to kind of group standard types of companies, right? So standard performance software, standard community tools, and then employee engagement software. So if we look at like intranet and community, standard performance softwares, they don't have that. Standard communication tools, they don't have that. And then employee experience, they do have that, right? Because that's their whole thing. Integrated chat functionality. Now this yellow one right here means that it's somewhat included. Some of them have it, some of them don't, but I haven't necessarily seen an integrated chat functionality or tool or feature or module, whatever you want to call it, the way that we're presenting it in Grapevine. Again, this is where it's directly connected to your performance management. It's directly connected to your knowledge management system or your information hub. It's directly integrated with groups that you're having and all these kind of things. It's a big differentiator here. Employee experience, I haven't seen that from my research, from our market research that we've done. Communication tools, sometimes, like as I mentioned, sometimes it can, or it lives in that communication tool, but it doesn't connect to your own knowledge management system. And a lot of the companies out there, their search is not that great. Performance, it doesn't make sense for them to have that in that standard performance software. Integrated document repository, this is the opposite of what I was saying here. So like the document repository, you can drag a document directly into Figgy Chat without leaving the tool itself. In other places like standard software products or performance softwares, they're not going to have that. Communication tools, some of them might have it, some of them might not. As we mentioned, they might have their own, but it's not clearly organized and it doesn't keep everybody aligned. Instead, it actually maybe silos more people. Employee experience, not necessarily. I'm sure there's a workaround in certain places like a wiki or something. Performance management, as we mentioned, so we're going to have this KPIs, OKRs, standard performance, yes, obviously, not in communication tools, and then not in employee experience, maybe depending on which tool you get. Goal setting and task management, again, we're going to have this. Performance management, it makes sense. Communication tools, not necessarily. I think that, again, all these can have workarounds, but our goal with Grapevine is you don't need a workaround. And once I get to the bottom of this, I'll share the importance of this chart here. Employee experience software, some of them have it, but it's more so like reward and recognition in a sense. Virtual break room, so we're going to have that. Now, I will say maybe we change this to yellow because some communication tools do have huddles or where you can just do a quick call, but it's not spontaneous and it doesn't get everybody involved at a random time. So the way that our virtual break room will work is we have an icon that you click. Whenever you click that, you'll go into the break room. And whenever you go into the break room, that'll send a notification to the company and says, Zach Wright has entered the break room. Would you like to join him? And if you join me at that time, then we can have a discussion that is not about work. It might turn into work, but it's more so, hey, I have a little bit of time and I'd like to talk to somebody. You know, one of the biggest challenges in remote work is that loneliness that some people often feel. And so we want to be able to solve that with a simple thing like this. This is kind of like our ping pong or meditation room or whatever. And the more prevalent that we get, the more revenue that we start generating. We'll be able to invest more into our virtual break room with certain like mind games that keeps your brain alert, meditation rooms. And then maybe you can create your own virtual break room where we're going to talk about fantasy football, right? And so the limits are limitless. Does that make sense? Engagement analytics. I'm going to show you a little bit about what this looks like in another slide. But engagement analytics. So performance management, they're going to have that. Employee experience, they're going to have that. I mean, honestly, these two might need to switch because I haven't really seen this in a communication tool. But engagement analytics, we're going to have that. And it's going to be based off of several different things, which I'll go into a little bit on that slide that I'll show you. Digital workspaces. So this is going to be my office, right? Typically standard performance softwares, they don't have that. Communication tools, they don't necessarily have that. I would say maybe you could look at like a channel as that, but you're not really storing your own stuff, right? Employee experience softwares, not necessarily. Some of them have it, some of them don't, and that's what it means, somewhat included. So the reason that I wanted to show this and the importance of it is to show the differentiating factors here, right? We're including all of these things. And right now you might have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different apps to do all these things, right? Like you might have a KPI software and then you have an OKR software, or you have one in the same, but then you might have like a Slack or a Google Meet, and that doesn't necessarily connect directly into your entire platform and how you communicate, right? So you might have this communication tool, but how often is what you're delivering really getting through to the people, and how can you measure that, right? That's the other part. Like you can't measure if you can't track, right? Employee engagement. So this could be a several different things, right? This could be your document repository. This could be your feedback and recognition, which is not on here, but we do have feedback and recognition, as I mentioned before. But that could be a totally separate tool. Maybe an events tool too, right? Like there's so many things that we're consolidating with Grapevine here. So I would be a bad founder if I didn't say, if you're interested in learning more about Grapevine, feel free to reach out to me. The link in this description will have a Let's Connect link. And once you get in there, you can schedule an event. Okay, so since I was talking about the performance page, I'll go ahead and talk about this one now. And so like whenever we look at this is kind of like a mock-up, but we're working on it on the back end. But you can see like you can, and some of these might change, but we know that these are probably going to stay. So new employees based off of this time frame, number of employees, right, in total, number of rewards and recognition, 29. Like that's based off of how much feedback has the team as a company received, how many rewards were given, and so on and so forth. So it's really showing you like, are you creating a feedback organization? Then we have top engaged departments. This is going to be based off of a lot of different things. It's like, how often are you engaging with posts? How often are you posting yourself? How many documents are you uploading? How many groups are you participating in? So many different things that can populate here. Then we have our company goals or KPIs and objectives. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in maybe a different video whenever we get it fully skewed out. But then we have the company KPI progress, right? The other things that we have are engagement and satisfaction scores. So we are most likely going to integrate or build our own engagement survey approach. And then that's where this score will come from. And then the feedback, you'll be able to click in and see the feedback too, and see how HR and the team and the leaders are really applying what you said as a employee. Employee recognition is going to be based off of the length that you're here, and you'll be able to see your longevity. That's good for HR. That's good for finance. That's good for the CEO to be able to see how many people or how long are people staying here. And then you can dive into this. Like if a lot of people are less than a year, and your engagement level is 35, like you might want to dig into that, right? So that's the importance of analytics. Now this, right now it doesn't work like this, but you would be able to click onto age and you would see the breakdown, right? So what you see here is going to go in here. But these are the types of engagement analytics that we're going to be capturing right off the bat. And that's important, right? Because now you'll know how to do or how your organization is operating as a remote environment. That's one of the trickiest parts, is preparing that transparency for not only your employees, but especially your leaders who can act on that. Now, as I continue to go through this somewhat high-level demo, what I want to call out here, and it looks like it's loading, so hopefully it works with us. Yeah. So this is our intranet. Don't worry about this. Again, it's a skew. But what I really want to show is the chat feature. So this is where it's going to live. This is how you will chat. So you can see it's kind of similar to a LinkedIn, but then we get into the point where it does kind of go into like a Slack or a Google Chat style. But here you would be able to click and start a new conversation. You would add that person in here. Then you would see how you would see the conversation. Again, you have your information here. Now, the other part is that you can have the full screen view. But before I do that, let's say that this 812 employees is a document. So let's just pretend that this square is a document. I would be able to drag that directly in here, right? Same thing if somebody sent me a document, I would be able to click save to my documents, and that would live in the document repository, which I'll show in a moment. And so this is what we're looking at. It's very similar to your chats out there, but we do have specific channels. And this is what we're talking about whenever it's integrated, right? Community, human resources, department, we'll have intranet on there. We'll have the specific things that are important that we don't want anybody to miss. So whenever we have intranet, you think whenever somebody updates an announcement, whenever they post something on the executive news feed, whenever they add a new company event, that's going to go in here. And there, it's not overkill in a sense, because we're not going to annoy you necessarily, but we're going to have like one of these red dots come up in here, and you'll see that, okay, I probably need to check that because something has come through. And then same thing here with the little icon. Once that bar goes away, the bell icon here, you'll see that. Now, the other thing is you'll be able to see your information that you've shared with the person that you're chatting to or the group. And that's, again, you'll be able to click this and save it directly to your documents. Again, it's just a streamlined approach of making everything organized, easily managed, and searchable for later. You'll also be able to set your status. So if you're away, you don't want people reaching out to you. You have your groups here too. So think about managing a project and having one location where everybody has all the documents. That's another thing that is important here. And so that's kind of the main thing that I wanted to call out there, just to show you that it is fully integrated. Now, the last part is we've been talking about saving your documents to your document repository. That's where this is going to come into play, right? And so we can see you have all documents, videos, posts. You have my documents here, and then you can upload or embed a link from your Google Drive. You'll also be able to import. So whenever we have that integration with Google and eventually MS Teams, you'll be able to integrate that fairly easily. And then you can organize through folders or naming conventions, and then tags. Tags are going to be important because the tag is what's going to help you understand, is this for marketing? Is this for the company? Is this for sales? And then you can also see that you can share it with someone. You can download it if you need to share it outside of Grapevine. You can edit it. You can save it for later, and then so on and so forth. So the way that some of these things will work is like your typical approach to document repositories. You can share it, you can tag it, you can make it public or private, so on and so forth. So honestly, that is the updates that I wanted to share with you. I'm not sure how many people typically go this detailed, but we're building in public and we're getting close to our MVP. And so what we want to be able to do is get you excited about what's going on at Grapevine with our virtual office platform. Right now, just to be transparent, as always, the MVP at first will include company social intranet, the community, and then Figgy Chat. MVP number 2 will have my office or digital workspaces, and then MVP number 3 will be department portal. The combination of all these things will be, in our opinion, obviously we're biased, but it's going to be an easier way to operate in a remote and hybrid organization. So, as I mentioned earlier, if you're interested in learning more about Grapevine and just having a deep dive demo on how it could apply or be applicable to your organization, feel free to reach out to me. Again, that link is in the description. And if you want to stay following the updates on Grapevine, be sure to follow me on LinkedIn. Be sure to follow our Grapevine page, Grapevine, your virtual office platform, and subscribe to our newsletter, which is the weekly recap where we go through and post everything that we've posted that week, because we know that it can get lost. And then we also, at the end of that newsletter, we always give a little bit of an update on Grapevine. And then you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to it. Well, you're probably watching this one on YouTube because it has visuals. So if you're doing that, go ahead and like and subscribe and share it with anybody who might be interested. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you on the next Untangled Vines Redefining the Rules of Work episode.